Welcome everybody. This section will be about presentations and presentation design. There's many different aspects related to presentations. How do you design slides? How do you design a story for possible investors? How do you give a presentation in person? I'm going to throw at you ideas as a basis for discussion. It's a small group, so you can interrupt me, ask me questions throughout the process. I will introduce myself very quickly why I'm standing here. Why do I speak English, not Hebrew? Because I'm Dutch. My Hebrew is not strong enough to address you here in that language. That's why. My background is in technology. I did an MBA in Fontainebleau, where I met my Israeli wife, and that's why I'm now standing here in front of you in Tel Aviv. It's all sort of coming together. My background, the formative years of my career, were at McKinsey. I worked there for almost 10 years, which was the first encounter of me of this professionally designed presentation that in the 90s when I worked there still looked like this, no colors, black and white, small fonts. I worked in the Amsterdam office in London, but now I'm based in Tel Aviv as an independent strategy consultant since 2003. And more of my work that I do is less strategy consulting and more presentation design. I think by now I designed more than 100 investor presentations, mostly for startups pitching VCs for money, but I also work for the big guys. For example, the investor presentation that Teva puts on their website are designed by me for larger publicly traded companies. Not sure whether you read a book by Malcolm Gladwell, Outliers. He says you need to do 10,000 hours of one thing in order to become really good at it. I'm starting to hit the 10,000 marks of in presentation design, if I count my McKinsey years as well inside it. I don't keep the knowledge to myself. I started writing a weblog about presentation design. It gets higher and higher in the rankings. Now one of the most read in the world about the topic of presentation design, bringing me a lot of actually clients from outside Israel and not only from Israel. So that's why I'm here. That's why I'm talking about presentation design to you. A bit of my credentials. Unusually, a guy with 10 years of McKinsey experience doing PowerPoint. So that is a strange combination in my head. What's a good presentation is the question to open maybe to you, to throw out this discussion here. So any idea, when is a presentation a good presentation? What do you think? Any ideas? Like when you call a presentation good? Convincing, yeah, it should be convincing. I think it should have a reaction. Something needs to happen. So if you get something like this, it's probably not the best thing. You want more something like this. Someone like really, I truly believe in your company or your idea. I want to invest in it, and think it's the end result that matters. It doesn't really matter how the presentation looks or how professional it was, but in the end, you want to capture that audience, and that is the thing that you should keep in mind. Which is different from a glossy or a slick presentation. It's a presentation that touches someone in the head, but even better in the heart, that they understand what you're trying to say. And it might be actually sort of difficult, but also first to get people to listen is the first thing. And this is sort of obvious to get people to listen, but it's increasingly not. People have this room is small, so I can check whether you sort of check your email on the laptop, on the phone. But especially in big conferences, you see. Going to the big Globes conference in Tel Aviv, the speaker starts. After 2 minutes, people decide it's not interesting. Off goes the attention, on goes the laptop, on goes the email, and people go on to do other things. So to get them to listen, to get people to understand your story is almost the next challenge. And why is this? Why can this be difficult for someone? You suffer from the curse of knowledge. You know so much about your company that it's actually hurting you in your ability to explain it to someone else. So you've been thinking about this for months, of this idea you had for a very long time. You're all the way there while the audience is still sitting here. And it's hard to get people to introduce to understand your story. The example may be in music. If I imagine a tune in jazz, then I start tapping it on the table like this. For me, it makes perfect sense. I hear the instruments, I can see the conductor, I can see how everything fits together. What you guys are hearing is some guy tapping on the table, with all the sort of lacking the context of the entire story. So it's very important to think about your presentation that way, that one bullet point or one sentence can mean a lot to you. It means absolutely zero to an audience that has no idea none of your background, none of your months of experience that you went through. And finally, we talked about, okay, the audience understands now, like, where is the money, so investment in the company, or maybe just a bit more modest, the next meeting with the investor might also be a good outcome of a meeting. Something about presentation challenges. And I think you don't have to be someone special in order to design it. So I'm none of these people. I'm not a graphic designer. I'm not a PR consultant. I design presentations without a specific background. But I do think it's very important to test yourself. I say, if you cannot explain your idea to someone who's moderately intelligent, it's actually your problem and not the problem of the audience. Every company, and I've seen technology companies with very, very complicated technologies, there's no excuse not to be able to say, well, this is obviously too difficult, I won't bother you with the details. Like, wrong. Like, you apparently did not understand your story well enough, because anyone should be able to do this in 15 to 20 minutes to get your ideas across. Let's think, the first thing that I take off here, if there's no story, there's no presentation. So I assume that there's a big tick here, that all the stories that you're presenting, that you're preparing, at least that the substance is there. It's all about the form factor that we need to think about. Communicating to investors. Something. What is the single most important thing that an investor will be looking at when he's checking your presentation? What is it? What is important to an investor, potential investor? Any ideas? What do you think it is? You're standing up. Probably. It's you. It's yourself. Basically, it's like the guy is looking at you. Someone standing up. The presentation, in fact, is an excuse to figure you out. Half of the presentation is the substance. This is in the slide, or maybe it's in the business plan, or the summary that is read. The other half is, who is this woman, who is this man that's presenting in front of me? And the presentation is an excuse to hear you talk for 20 minutes, or to get questions, fire questions. You see how you come back, how do you respond as a person. So you say, our invention is great. We have no competition whatsoever at all. We're going to sail through this. Great story. It could be true, or it could be, well, what's the sense of realism of this guy? And all right, the world is probably not that pink or not that beautiful. In the sense, you need to be a bit more nuanced here. Or what if you get a very good question? Some of these VCs are experienced business people. They've seen many business plans. So he raises his hand, asks a question. The wrong reaction is to try and to zap the question, so defend and say, well, this is an attack on me personally, and try and ignore the question. The good thing to do is to take it on, and if it's a good point, you might actually have to say, this is a good point, I will look into this. An investor is looking at you as a potential CEO, and he sits on the board, he will have his meetings, he will have input, and if he gives a bit of feedback, it tries to be helpful, and you sort of try and push him on the side, wait, this is not a good investor, or not a good person to work with. Can I have this person on my board, or on the team when I sit on the board? How do these interactions work? And the investor presentation is, in a sense, is a first case example of how that interaction in the future might happen. So here you go. The audience is very smart. It's very busy. In a sense, that's why I sort of tell people to cut to the chase, to the point. Often you see people building up a story, so there's these trends in the market, and this is changing, and 10 slides later, 10 minutes later, they finally say, I'm in the business of a database for X, Y, and Z. And during the 10 minutes, the people have been not listening to your story. What is this guy trying to do? What is this guy trying to say? What is he trying to do? So basically, you might as well cut it short. And in the very first second, hello, I'm Jan, and we are starting a company in the field of Dix is going to do that. Alright, so it's out of the way. People have no reason to wonder, to do the puzzle. You can go into your story, and now the people are ready to listen to all your other points. So very early on in the presentation, start talking about what is actually that you're doing. Time is limited in these meetings, so these investor pitches could be 15, 20, 25 minutes. So I would say to state the obvious, and to state something that everyone knows and spend a lot of slides on that, is in a sense a waste of time, because if you see on the online video, will probably be big. Everybody agrees with it, and to try and reinforce it does not help your story necessarily, unless you have an insight that will not be used or something will be different. then you need to spend time on it. But if everyone knows it, why, you might want to say, I sometimes actually put this chart on and say, online video will be used, next one, like almost as a joke, to skip over the real issues. And this is sometimes the real issue. I call it the elephant in the room. Address your obvious weaknesses, because the investor will sit in the room constantly in the back of his mind. What about this? What about this? What about this? So here you are, you're a 17-year-old high school student, not to talk about your lack of management experience. It's sort of the obvious question. If someone comes in very, very young, it's the elephant. Everyone sees him sitting. He's a 7-year-old guy. He's trying to do this, and he's not talking about his lack of experience. In a sense, I'm not telling you to make the first slide and here all the weakness of my proposition, here all the risks of this business, and this is why you shouldn't invest in it. That's obviously the wrong type to do it. But in your presentation, you need to address these questions, otherwise you get a polite reaction after meeting. It was really nice talking to you. We talked about the online video market for 15 minutes. It was very interesting. In the back of his mind, the guy's 17, he doesn't know how to run a company, and you're out. So take on realize what an intelligent person would think about you. Someone who looks at you, listens to your story. What is the question that this guy will be asking, and how can you address it? Engineers' buzzwords. People think like to put a lot of difficult, complicated jargon in my presentation is going to make it look sexy and look very important. The exact opposite is true. So these things have been overused so many times, like that I can almost take a white paper of a company, swap the names of the products, and it actually reads pretty good. The second time there's a new name of the product, but it's scalable, it gives return on investment, total cost of ownership is really low and really flexible, and this is all great. It runs on all these platforms, and we are all the buzzword, all the hype is people hear too much. It goes one ear in, other ear out, because they do not understand the fundamentals below it. So one high ROI might be a lot for the person you know exactly what you mean. But for the audience that hears it, oh, this is another high ROI product, but it doesn't do anything. It doesn't stick anything to the person. Same as the vision and the mission statements. You can go off with your management team and for 3 days go offsite and think about it really, really hard. And you think about every word, every dot, and every comma. In the end, you come with this fantastic statement that tells how you see the world. You will read it off. It means a lot to you. It means zero to the person who sits in the audience. Doesn't buy into a vision statement. I'm putting this on purpose, very black and white. I've seen many of them. Some people get offended when they say that I sort of push aside the vision and the mission statements. But I don't think in a 20-25 minute pitch it helps you a lot to get people to be convinced of your idea. We addressed about it before, the skipping. Well, the technology is sort of complicated, we'll skip that, and if you're really interested, we'll go into it. If you're a seed stage startup, there's no customers, 2 people that man the company, no sales, no building or nothing, this is probably the only asset you have. So again, to invite people to look a little bit into your technology, into your idea, to explain what's so special about it, is worthwhile the effort, rather than brushing it aside and being too techy. Let's talk about the online video market. Market sizing. So the IDC, Gartner, Forrester produced tons and tons of reports, and every report says this market will be $1 billion in 3 years from now. Everyone reads the same. So if you say it's going to be $1 billion market, we're going to take 0.002% of it, so we're going to do $15 million in year 3. I just said it, but nobody looks really sort of convinced of the facts. People again do not understand. They cannot relate to $1 billion, and they cannot relate to 50 million. It's very big numbers, but people are not convinced. I so often recommend to take the other approach. This is to take the bottom-up picture, to give people the tools to construct the revenue forecast using things they understand. So the mobile population in Israel, so 18 to 24-year-olds, like let's take half of those. And they pay 50 cents per user per month. So the user contract, it's $13, 50 shekels, and if it's only Israel, I can understand it. So there's a few very tangible measures that you can give. You can almost, on a napkin, there's a few multiplications to show them how you can get to 50 million using metrics and numbers that people understand, rather than IDC says it's $1 billion, we're going to do 50 million. Demos. I'm very much against those in 20 to 25 minute presentations. It took me half an hour to set up my laptop here. Demos go always wrong when you do them live in a 25-minute pitch. And part of the demo is two objectives. One objective is to show what the product does, and the second objective is, look, our company is in an advanced stage. We actually have a demo. Here it is. So I suggest to decouple these things. To show how the project works, there's a set of screenshots in PowerPoint. Click, click, click. You control the pace. It will always work. You don't have to lose time. But sorry, now I need to log in a little bit. It's going to take a bit of time. But you don't want to break the crescendo, the flow, the speed of your pitch. If you slow things down, it slows the attention down. So to use the sequence of shots to explain your product. And if you have a demo, you almost show that the laptop, it's here, look, it's live. If you're interested, we'll make an appointment and I'll take 2 hours with you to walk you through the product in a live demo. But don't do this when you have 20-25 minutes with someone. I would strongly advise against a live demo of the project. Presentation styles. Many different styles, many different occasions. In the sense, even in the VC process, it's different. There's the cold email presentation. You got the email address of some VC. You send the email and he sees it. So without hearing you present it. There's the coffee chat downstairs with the VC where you maybe have a few printout visuals and some scribbles and you just sketch the idea. There's the presentation to the partner group of the venture capital firm. You stand up, everyone sits around, have a chance to read it, you can explain every slide. Then the due diligence, and more facts and more facts and all like slides about your technology and your detailed financial forecast. Each presentation is a different one. Now, I'm not telling that you should design each presentation for the exact. It will be too much time to have like 6, 7 different versions of the presentation. You have to always figure out this one it is. But think about what the balance, what context you're using it. If it's a cold presentation, it needs to get someone's attention right away. So the slide that explains the idea or that explains the problem in the market needs to be very prominent. But all the stuff about the forecast, about the management team, all the other things in the back, maybe can wait. First, the investor needs to get excited about the idea itself, and then he's maybe ready in a coffee chat or something to talk about some of the other things. So dependent on the occasion, you use the presentation for change, take slides out, add slides in, to make sure that it matches the stage in the investment process you're in. Style again. This is the style that you probably most know. So bullet points on a projector, and someone who presents it reading it off the screen. I would do this as a bullet point. I don't want to see them in a presentation. Ideally, a bullet point is like if I put here 3 bullet points, you would have gotten to the bottom of the page before I even started speaking. You race through the whole thing. You think I understand this. You click on the BlackBerry and start checking your email. It's not a good way to give an on-screen presentation to use bullet point. I would try and eliminate it. It might be hard in some cases to do, but like to try and just get rid of it. Don't use it. It's basically the Microsoft fault. The old Microsoft PowerPoint, the thing that you get presented with, is an empty template of bullet points, and that forces people just almost to fill them out, page after page after page after bullet points. Try and don't use it. It can be hard sometimes. Instead, try and tell stories and analogies. To try and take people on a journey, on an example. When you talk about a technology problem, how it's difficult, a different way to keep people's attention, to keep people focused on your problem, rather than reading the bullet points with the buzzwords from the screen. People are not interested. People are interested in stories. They remember stories. They're not interested in reading very vague, generic bullet points. Guy Kawasaki is a famous venture capitalist. He had the famous 10, 20, 30-year rule. Most PowerPoint rules, I think, are incorrect, so there's always an exception for this one. This one is a pretty good one. 10 slides, 20 minutes, 30-point font, and not smaller. I agree with almost all of them. Maybe the 10 slides, you can see at the pace that I go, I think you can do this in 30 minutes. There's a lot of slides, there's a remote control. What matters is the time of your presentation. It's not about the amount of slides. Because the amount of slides, people think, I already this rule, there's a 10 slides, so let's combine slides and yet more slides and combine one. We have too much paper, we have too much content, we can solve this by combining 2 slides in one. The content is exactly the same. You just crushed it into one slide instead of 2. So it will take you the exact amount of time to go through it. It will also take the exact amount of time to read the slide. So you can have a lot of slides and still get through get through your time. Time is the important thing. How long does it take you to go through the slides? And practice, and measure with a watch to see how much time you need to get through them. Sometimes it might just not be good to have a slide at all, like to put a black page in, to focus all the attention of the room back on you, to make an important point. Think about it, you do not always need the firepower of PowerPoint of colorful slides in the background. You can tell your own story sometimes. Some graphics design secrets, so like I'm going at an incredible speed to allow for some discussion. Some simple tricks that you can do that make your slides look better, so taken into account. First of all, I think that the pace of the presentation design. Why do most consulting presentations look so horribly and poorly bad? And the same for corporate presentations. Because they are finished 3 AM the night before the 9 o'clock board meeting, for instance. And at 3 AM, your mind is not in a creative mode. You're just churning out the numbers and make sure you get the thing in place. But like, is this the best way you can possibly tell the story to the board at 3 AM at night? You don't even want to worry about it. You just want to have it on paper and get the thing out.
It's better than nothing.
That's the survival level. So we get the content out, and it's there. It's still on a piece of paper, and we worry about it later. So I think to slow things down and to budget time for a presentation. Presentation design is creative. It's what painters are, writers have writer's block. It takes time to get the story right, so to work on it. Maybe put it aside and wait for 2 days, pick it up again, or go for a run, or do something. But don't force the presentation to the end, but take a budget weeks or days, or like just to get the best possible story structure of your presentation. So it's like it's a creative art. This is not banging in things into a PowerPoint. So how do I tell the story in the best possible way? This is creativity. And then slick or sophisticated graphics. You can hire a graphic designer and get the most beautifully designed drawings on the planet. Like shadings, colors, reflections, shadows, three-dimensional, everything is possible. But if the chart that goes in was bad, the chart that will come out is equally bad. It will just look prettier, but it's still, in a sense, the same chart. So you can, with very simple shapes and very simple formats, you can get the same clean effect without involving slick. Slick does not sell. A slick presentation looks like someone had probably too much money investing in slick graphics. Like, is there something behind the surface? Like, why is it so slick? Like, what would the story be? Is it authentic? Like, slick presentations do not attract more funding, I think, than non-slick presentations. Maybe it's the opposite is even true. Look around you. Like, look around. When you drive around, which advertising does catch your eye, and which advertising not? Maybe the newspaper in the morning, you're drinking a coffee, you're going at very high speed, you don't have a lot of time. The venture capitalist, when he gets a cold email, opens the email, doesn't bother to read the introduction sentence, click, click, click on the PowerPoint attachment, goes page down, page down, page down, page down, page down, page down. It's the same with what you do when you go through a newspaper, where advertising and news is competing for your attention. So think about which ads did you like. Why? One, which did catch your attention, which is very important for a cold call presentation. And which one actually did you make understand something, like what wait a minute, and in a second I understood what this advertising was meant to say. You can learn from that. Some other tricks, like be very, very precise in numbers. Excel gives us endless precision in forecasts for 2015 or 2014. To the last digit we can calculate exactly how much revenue you're going to be. But you're going to look a bit like this guy if you put these numbers up. You want to be something bigger ranges, bigger pictures, and look a lot further that way. So the false position, take it out because you don't know, nobody knows. You just have a case. You can explain in a multiplication of 6 or 7 numbers how you get to this number, order of magnitude, and this has to happen. And that is the way to explain it rather than IDC 0.2%. Get a very precise number. It doesn't look credible. It's not true, and nobody believes it, and it doesn't help you. Clip art, all this other stuff, like just get rid of it. Like it doesn't look good. Use pictures and images. There's databases now like iStack Photo. You key in the keyword, and it comes with hundreds and hundreds of suggestions of images. They cost a few bucks each. If you use 10 of them in your presentation, it's $50 well spent. You can get them on Flickr. Just watch out for the copyright that you use a Creative Commons license, that you can use it in your presentation. But bullet points out, or clip art out, pictures and images in, especially for the beginning of your presentation, where you explain the problem in the market and how you're going to solve it. Obviously, here's our team, and these are the CVs, and this is our revenue forecast. You don't need pictures or pretty pictures. These parts are more the boring, the structured part. In the sense that the investor presentation that I made for Teva looks like that. So here are the numbers, these are the quarters, these are the figures. Obviously, no pictures and images inside there. But the early bit, where you explain the problem, try and use images and fewer words to get your idea across. So basic things you can see, somebody stretched the picture, obviously the right one is the correct one. Look at proportions in the screen. The eye has a natural tendency to focus on around a third of the slide. And again, look at advertising and see where advertisers put the most important aspect of a slide. It will be around this golden proportion. You can Google it, there's a science behind it, so 1.618 or something like that, the exact ratio on the screen. Other things that are like annoying, like when you have just have them sort of not completely aligned, but almost aligned. Like people are they're sort of sitting there, something is not right. You have a tendency when something is not organized just to put it right, and it distracts your audience. Make sure alignment is allowed, space is allowed. White space can be very powerful, even not putting anything on the slide, but to hammer a point in, pick an image, and resist the temptation to just fill it with stuff. Is very, very important. The same goes with templates. You see a chart that I ripped out of a Skype analyst report. You see, Skype is a very beautiful color scheme, great blue, very recognizable logo, but they're just splashing it on the PowerPoint and takes about a third of the screen, leaving no room whatsoever to add anything beyond it. Also, the colors come back, the purple is off, the yellow is new, so the whole thing. Like this is the old template of Skype. I would replace it by this one, and maybe even take this one off. You want to get to a sense where the colors in the slide, actually give the identity of the company. You can see from a distance. Maybe you can't even read the Skype logo, but it looks pretty Skype because it's very, very blue. And then the slide as a whole looks like a very consistent corporate color scheme. And it doesn't really matter where you get your colors from. Like I can take them out of a painting, out of a beautiful picture, any color you like. Then allow me to stick to it. You get the colors, you put them in PowerPoint, and these are the colors I'm working with. I get a lot of questions. Does my startup need a logo? Not really. If you have a beautiful logo, maybe use it. But what is important, I think, in your presentation and the whole look and feel of your company is this: use colors consistently, that it comes across as a consistent graphical, visual sort of image in everything you use. And the logo can come later. You can even use a font, a beautiful font, a simple font, and put a name for the moment. My personal opinion, maybe other people disagree. But you see the effect I was talking about. Less corporate logos, less stuff, less graphics, more content, and still the slide will look like it came from your corporate identity. Animations, powerful. One can do fantastic animations, very, very spectacular effects. But I sort of take it easy on these animations. One, it might just distract the audience, what's flying around you on the screen. And secondly, people might even start to laugh at you. Now, a bit of humor in the presentation is okay. Like you're again, coming back to it's all about you. This guy you can actually have a laugh with, it's fine. But if people start laughing about a funny bouncing graphic on your chart, it's the wrong type of laughing you want to have in your presentation. So the only area where I use animations are usually in technical diagrams. When there's an architecture like layer 1, and then this comes in, that comes in, sequencing here, sequencing there. I use animations, but not just for the hell of it, slide transitions or popping up of bullets or other unexpected effects. And look around you, like where can you learn from to see? One is to look at role models on video. This is a comparison of Steve Jobs and Bill Gates a number of years back, and see the differences in presentation style. Bill Gates has by now turned the corner. He will not give presentations like this anymore. In his life as a philanthropist, his presentations more recently are a lot better. He got himself some coaching, but you can see how does Steve Jobs announce this product on stage. So watch this video and see how he introduced the iPad. What did he do with his audience? There are books written about this as well, like presentation styles of Steve Jobs. And his secret actually is not that he's a natural talent, before each presentation, he practices this thing 3 days, full time, whole day. 3 days. 3 days, practice, practice, practice. He stands on there, has a clicker in his hand, and goes again, and again, and again, and again, and again. So this is not that he's a natural speaker, he probably is good. But he takes 3 full days to prepare a very important product launch presentation.
Really?
It's not that he just goes up there and every sentence, everything is... In order to be spontaneous, you actually need to know your story inside out. Inside out. In order to be spontaneous. Prepare, 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 prepare. It's a huge difference. That's what he does. And obviously the design is very cool, like his minimalist presentations, his slides are very good, but he practices, he goes on practicing, and it's very, very important. Like the big success of his products is part of his incredibly high presentation. We get a lot of press, so he invests in it accordingly. The book that I talked about, Made to Stick, there's tons of books about presentations and communication. This is one that I can recommend. It talks about why some ideas survive and others die. And it's very good to read through this and to think about your stories. It's Chip Heath and Dan Heath that have written it. This is one that you might be aware of, Presentation Zen. He's basically not the inventor, but so he was the first who started using these very, very minimalist images. There's a few words. This is Gar Reynolds. Is a presentation designer. He used to design presentations for Apple back in the 80s or the 90s. And he's a an interesting blog to read and an interesting book to read. And this is probably one that you should not get on a Kindle or something, but in person, since it has the pictures and stuff, add a lot to the book how he designs. You can learn from him. This book is a lot better than the second one he's written. He probably takes more of the same material you already covered. But good to see. Now then, these guys, these venture capitalists that are running and writing blogs. If you Fred Wilson is one, Mark Suster, his name is another one. These two guys. If he makes an investment, he puts sort of a whole story on his blog, and it reads like the minutes of an investor meeting. It reads like the minutes of a party meeting. It's already open. He goes through his case. This is why I invested in this company. And obviously, if you present it to him, you should read it because you know exactly what he's looking for. But to get into the head of these venture capitalists and see what sort of decisions they make, what sort of things they make, anticipate their questions, and they give away a lot of their criteria. It's all in the open, it's the internet. You Google his name, you read through his stuff, and it will become incredibly clear. And the sort of investment this person has made, also Israeli VCs, probably also people have blogs. You can learn a lot from doing basic research to see what he likes. And coming back to the online video will be a huge chart. If this guy has written 15 posts on his blog why he really believes in online video, you can ace the case. Well, you really believe in online video. Let's even not talk anymore, because let's talk about other things. And these things you can pick up just from doing basic research online. One more thing is to stay on time. So we're getting to the presentation. Nobody ever disliked the presenter because he finished 3 or 4 minutes early. So mostly it's the other way around. You know, when is he going to stop? When is he going to stop? If you stick to a slot, you have a certain time. Obviously, your venture capital said, "Thank you, this will be the next meeting." But if you speak to a conference and somewhere, people might drag on, but the attention fades. Putting this back into the point that I made up front to cut to the chase. If you wait and wait and wait and wait until the punchline comes in the end, so you're running out of time, let me just finish my presentation in 2 minutes, and you start rattling, people will have missed the most important point of your presentation. That's why it's important to make it early on to make sure that people actually register and remember it. This is what I had to say. I hope it changed the way you look at our presentations forever as the impact. So here we go. This is me to read more about me. To read my blog about presentation design. Welcome to visit that to your RSS reader. Any questions, any discussions you guys struggling with your plans, with your presentations? So fire away. It's all clear. It's all clear.